Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on his first visit to the occupied West Bank for talks with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. The visit is part of the Indian leader's Middle East tour. Modi and his entourage flew in by helicopter from Jordan, landing near Abbas' Ramallah headquarters. Now, Modi became the first Indian leader in history to visit Israel in July last year, with the two states signing deals on cybersecurity and energy. Modi's three-day tour will also take him to Oman and the United Arab Emirates. Our correspondent Stephanie Freed now joins us from Ramallah in Palestine. Good to have you with us, Stephanie. What more can you tell us about Modi's meeting with Abbas, and what were the main topics of their discussion? How is the Indian leader being received there?
Well, certainly, Li Shuyuan, he'll be received very, very appreciatively here and very positively. And that's because of exactly what you said, which is India was the first non-Arab state to recognize Palestine. India, this is the first visit by an Indian leader to Palestine. So it's a good visit. It's a positive visit. He's being received in a positive manner. And right now, according to the schedule, he's wrapping things up. This was a very brief visit, but highly symbolic. 3 hours where he visited Yasser Arafat's tomb. He, of course, as you mentioned, met with Abu Mazen, or the president here, Abbas, and talked about bilateral relations and talked about giving an influx into the economy of Palestine, which includes helping to build a super hospital, cyber cooperation, as you noted. Again, it's very highly symbolic because India walks sort of a delicate balance here between Arab countries, Israel, Palestine, in terms of relations, but the Indian Prime Minister, India, seems to be pulling it off.
Now, India is expected to sign agreements to help Palestinians build infrastructure and generate employment. Tell us more about these deals.
Well, the deals, we're talking again about this super hospital, cyber cooperation, building up the infrastructure here, which is very badly needed, and especially on the heels, we're talking about the U.S. freeze of funds to UNRWA, which is the organization that supports Palestinian refugees. So an influx of bilateral agreements, an influx of cooperation, some cash, some jobs into the Palestinian economy certainly is welcomed. And as I said, again, India walks a tightrope here with its relations with Gulf states, because it's the third biggest importer of oil from abroad. So India has to maintain good ties with Gulf states. At the same time, India's buying a tremendous amount of weapons from Israel. $500 million deal is back on the table to buy weapons from Israel. So India's got to be very careful, and that's the reason the Prime Minister Modi was in Israel in July, but at that time he did not choose to visit Palestine. He waited until now to keep things separate, to keep the meetings separate, and that's on purpose, again, because of the delicate, sensitive relations. India has a policy of non-alignment. That's a doctrine where it's very close to Chinese policy in a lot of ways, which is don't get involved in internal matters, try and stay as neutral as possible, and in a very, very simplistic way, stay friends with everyone, and that's what the Prime Minister is trying to do here today.
All right. Thank you very much for following that visit for us. Stephanie for joining us live in Ramallah. Now, Modi's visit to Palestine comes days after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited India, and more than 6 months after the Indian leader visited Israel. Since Modi's Nationalist Party came to power in 2014, India has carefully calibrated its ties with the Arab world. Last month, India joined 127 other countries in the United Nations General Assembly to oppose U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Bilateral trade between India and Israel reached $5 billion in 2016 to 2017. So far, India has undertaken projects worth $30 million in Palestine. Now we're joined on the phone from Ramallah by Dr. Mustafa Barghouti, member of the Palestinian Legislative Council. Welcome to our program. My first question to you is this. New Delhi has long backed Palestine's quest for nationhood, and Modi has expressed support for an independent state existing peacefully alongside Israel. So what is Modi likely to achieve during his visit to Palestine, given the worsening relations between Israel and Palestine? Can Mr. Modi have his cake and eat it too?
Well, Mr. Modi, I think, had to do this visit because he needs to balance the policy of India. The Indian people have been always supportive of the Palestinian struggle for independence, for freedom, and against Israeli aggression. But during the last few years, there has been a shift in Indian policy towards more cooperation with Israel, especially military deals with a country that is occupying another country, which is Israel occupying Palestine. So I think it was important for certain correction of the Indian policy, incompatibility with the feelings of the Indian people, and that is what's happening. Mr. Modi is the first high-ranking official who visits Palestine without visiting Israel after Mr. Putin did it, head of Russia. And that's important. Also, it goes in line with the Palestinian request for many countries, especially the BRICS countries, including India, China, Russia, South Africa, and Brazil, to take a more important role, especially in the light of the failure of the United States and in the light of the Israeli policy, which is practically killing the possibility of two-state solution. It's time for the international community to interfere. Yeah.
And just how important is the Middle East for New Delhi, especially Israel and Palestine?
I believe today there is a very serious situation. Just this morning we had clashes between Israel and Syria. And it has become clear, especially with the encouragement of President Trump, that Israel is trying to kill the possibility of two-state solution by building settlements, by violating international law. And it is quite clear now, if anybody wants to save the two-state solution and that compromise, there has to be immediate pressure on Israel. Otherwise, that possibility will be lost. We have a very extreme and racist and aggressive government in Israel, and I think international community should restrain it. And I believe that the visit of Mr. Modi will help in that direction.
All right, thank you very much for your insights. Dr. Mustafa Barghouti joining us on the phone from Ramallah. We appreciate you joining us.